In his most recent controversial TikTok video, Moreno is telling his followers to avoid living on the streets in the United States. They can, quote, invade empty homes and live there.
Time and time again, we told you about homeowners fighting to get their property back after squatters moved in. Well, now it appears it's happened once again.
This latest case takes us to Northwest Harris County, where ABC 13's Maya Shea joins us live tonight.
This woman is trying to get into the house, but her access is being blocked, and it's her own home.
Okay, hey! You want to assault? You want to
Get out of my home!
Tracy Albert and her husband Miles used their savings to buy this 4-bedroom dream home in Riverside, California 14 months ago, but they have not been able to move in, even though they've been paying the mortgage every month.
So as you can see, squatting is a problem all over the country. But I'm going to tell you the history of squatting, why every state has some version of this, and what is being done to stop these squatters. Now, what's known every day as squatting in law is known as adverse possession. Now, adverse possession is a concept that we inherited from English common law. Now, in the simplest terms, adverse possession allows a trespasser to possess someone else's land for a period of time. After that period of time is over, then the trespasser becomes the legal owner to the land. Now, the concept of adverse possession goes back about 4,000 years to the Code of Hammurabi. Law 30 of the code states if a chieftain or a man leaves his house, garden, and field, and someone else takes possession of his house, garden, or field and uses it for 3 years, if the first owner returns and claims his house, garden, and field, it shall not be given to him. Now, the purpose of adverse possession really has 3 main principles. First, adverse possession encourages the productive use of land. If an owner just abandons a piece of property, then that property becomes unproductive. Now, the doctrine of adverse possession rewards those who would put the land to good use and punishes absentee owners. Now, this is all based on the principle that there is a limited amount of land, and the land that we do have needs to be utilized efficiently for those who invest time and resources into keeping the property productive. Also, back in the day, adverse possession really helped solve land disputes where you have 2 parties who don't know who owns a piece of land. Adverse possession was a way of figuring out who actually owned a piece of property. Now, the way it was supposed to work is that you have this old abandoned home that the owner may have died and didn't have any heirs to give the home to. Someone then goes onto the property and rehabilitates the home. Then after a time frame, generally 10 years, if no one has come to kick the person off the property, then the property goes to the person who has now rehabilitated the home and has possession. Now, let's talk about squatters' rights. Let's say someone goes into an abandoned house, starts rehabilitating it and treating it as their own. Now, under state statute, they have to wait 10 years before they become legal owners of the property. Let's say after 2 years, the legal owner then returns to the property. Now, the trespasser who is adversely possessing the property needs to have possession of the property for 10 years so they can become the legal owner. But in our hypothetical, the legal owner has come back to possess the property in 2 years. So now that the owner's back, can the owner just throw the trespasser off the property? Well, no. See, the law then says that the owner must treat the trespasser as a tenant, just as if they signed a lease and are a renter. So the law demands that you now have to take the trespasser or squatter to court and evict them just like you would evict any other tenant. Now, in some places that may take 2 to 3 months, and in other places like New York, that can take 2 years. Now, give me a second because I want to introduce you to the sponsor of this video, Aura. Now, many of us use our phones for banking and for other things, and we think our phones are safe, even if they're lost. If you think that, you're under a false sense of security.
Arrested for a cell phone snatching and hacking operation allegedly run by migrants out of a Bronx apartment. 7 other people, including the alleged mastermind, are still being sought. The thieves would allegedly hack into the victims' banking apps to make fraudulent purchases.
What happens if you lose your phone or your phone is stolen? What protection do you have? This is why I personally use Aura. Now, Aura is identity theft and fraud protection that is powered by artificial intelligence because we live live in a world where it's all artificial intelligence. Now, when you sign up with Aura, you get the identity and credit monitoring service, you get a password manager, antivirus protection, you get your own private VPN, home title monitoring service, and what I love, the data broker removal. Now, simply put, data brokers are the reason why you get these types of phone calls.
We've been trying to reach you concerning your car's extended warranty. You should have received something in the mail about your car's extended warranty.
Now, what Aura does is get you off of those lists so you stop getting those phone calls. Now, I don't get those calls anymore because I use Aura, and Aura has a deal for you. If you go to aura.com/Nate the Lawyer, they're going to give you a 14-day free trial so you can test it all out for yourself. That's aura.com/Nate the Lawyer. It's in the description and in the pinned comment. So now let's talk about how adverse possession works in a place like New York. Now, let's say you win a trip and go on a 2-month European vacation. If someone breaks into your home and then starts living there for 30 days, when you come back, that person will be recognized under New York law as a tenant. Now, because the person's been living there for 30 days, you cannot evict them. You have to then go through the court process, which can take 2 years. And you can't change the locks, you have to pay all the bills, and you have to make sure the person's comfortable while they're waiting to be evicted through the courts. Now, here are some real-world examples from the state of New York.
We've heard from homeowner.
We are at the mercy of the squatter, the criminal.
After homeowner.
I don't have access. They changed my side locks and they changed my entire front door.
Who are fighting with squatters who have taken over their homes. In New York, if you call the police on someone who moved in without permission, if they claim to be a tenant, they can't be arrested for trespassing. The homeowner instead has to take them to court. In New York, squatters have rights after 30 days. That means the property owner can't change the locks on them, can't remove their belongings, can't cut off the utilities, or they could be arrested. Instead, property owners must go through the court system to get rid of them, a system that could take close to 2 years for a resolution.
Now, in New York, squatters are protected so much by the law that even if a squatter moves in for a day and the police come to kick the person out, if the squatter says they have a lease and they've been there for 30 days, the police have to take their word for it, and the homeowner will still be responsible for going to court.
Minutes later, a locksmith showed up, but police gave her a warning before they left.
I may end up in handcuffs today if this man shows up here and says that I have illegally evicted him. I said to them, let him take me to court the way I've been told to take him to court. But today, I'm not leaving my house.
Less than 10 minutes after police left and the locks were changed.
That's not going on.
The man who claims to be the one actually leasing the house shows up.
Call the police again.
With the other guy, police took off the property.
Do you see this? This guy just literally broke down my door, broke through myself and my daughter to get in here. This guy just forced himself into my house.
No, he did not.
Yes, he did.
No, he did.
And so did you. You broke through the front door.
Officer.
The man called the police on her.
So why is it that I have to leave and he doesn't have to leave?
Because technically he can't be kicked out. We need to go to court.
They consider this a landlord-tenant issue. And by law, it has to be handled through the housing court, not with police.
If you own this house, you would not want her inside.
I don't own the house. I don't own this.
Exactly,
Yes.
she does.
Yes, but then once again, you should know how the law works.
I do know how it works.
There's rules to the as you got to go to court and send me to civil court.
He says he signed a lease in October, but wouldn't tell us with who.
I got proof longer than that.
Show us the proof.
But who are you for me to show? I showed it to cops.
Dan with Channel 7 News. If you don't want to show it, you don't want to show it.
Proof. Come here, brother. I like that.
I would like to see it.
He didn't show me a lease.
This is a bill.
A bill for work he says he had done to the house. He didn't show police a lease either.
The police department doesn't have the lease?
No.
He's got no documentation.
Just bills.
So Adele, you're getting arrested right now?
I'm being arrested.
For what?
For being
in my own home.
And where's your lease?
She's fighting the house. It's not her house anymore.
My deed is current and legal.
Arrested for unlawful eviction.
Now, in New York, they have the migrant crisis, and migrants are starting to find out about adverse possession and squatters' rights.
And this is actually a similar thing we're going to talk about now. It's a nightmare scenario because one handyman turned squatter hunter is warning that migrants may soon catch on to squatters' rights in blue cities.
A Venezuelan national dubbed the migrant influencers at the center of controversy this morning. He has been using TikTok to coach migrants how to live in the U.S. by taking advantage of laws protecting squatters.
In his most recent controversial TikTok video, Moreno is telling his followers to avoid living on the streets in the United States. They can, quote, invade empty homes and live there, saying under U.S. law, if a house is uninhabited, it can be seized, referring to squatting rights in our country. That video garnered almost 4 million views.
Now, because of all this, Florida has now become the first state in the nation to essentially eliminate squatters' rights, meaning that if the homeowner comes back during the time that you're waiting for adverse possession to kick in, then that homeowner can kick you off the property without going to court.
So, Bob, before the bill was signed into law, squatters are considered tenants in the eyes of the law. Now squatters will soon face criminal charges for violating what was once within their rights.
39 yeas, 0 nays, Madam President.
In a unanimous decision, the Florida Senate is making it easier for property owners to rid their areas of squatters. Senator Keith Perry led the charge on House Bill 621 that allows property owners to file an affidavit showing the property doesn't belong to those who are occupying it. The bill creates stiff penalties for violators, like a second-degree felony for damage to a home and first-degree felony for fraudulently selling or leasing the property. The sheriff's required to serve the notice and remove unwanted occupants without delay.
Now, liberal New York is looking to change their squatting laws too.
People could stay in a home for years without having justice brought to them for staying essentially for free and making a homeowner have to pay their bills.
His newly filed bill is pretty simple. It states a tenant doesn't include squatters.
You're basically defining what a tenant is.
Absolutely.
And making sure that squatters can't take advantage of the law.
That's all we're doing.
It would mean if someone breaks into a home without permission or documents, police can have the authority to arrest them.
Now, this is getting more traction in New York because a woman who went on a 3-month vacation to visit her sick mother comes back to her apartment and is killed by 2 squatters living in her home.
We're going to begin with the manhunt for squatters suspected of killing a woman and then stuffing her body into a duffel bag.
Police say the victim walked into the apartment in Kips Bay last week, found the squatters in the living room, and that would be the last time anyone saw her alive again.
So as always, tell me where I'm wrong in the comment section. And let me know what you think about adverse possession and squatting rights. Do you think it's a concept that's outdated? Do you think that squatters should be protected? Let me know how you feel in the comment section. And on your way out, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, do all that great YouTube stuff. My name is Nate the Lawyer, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.